All right, my friends, welcome back. This is going to be part 20 of my presentation on the flood and Noah's Ark. Now, when you see these videos yeah, going in line, it doesn't really look like there's been a lot of time in between each one. At the posting of this video, it's been a couple weeks. I got sick, what appeared to be strep throat. But it turned out to be negative on the test. And then the very next day, I got a sinus infection. And so I had it for about a good week and a half. A good week and a half, I had that. And they put me on penicillin for my strep throat. And after I ended my medication on that, it appeared to do it, take it away. And then a couple of days later, it came back. And so I actually have that right now. And so the spots on the back of the tonsils and the soreness of the throat, I did gargle with some salt water, which did appear to help a little bit. But I sent a message to the doctor and see if they could prescribe me a little bit more penicillin. Maybe I just didn't take enough of it, and or a longer duration is what I needed. Who knows? And so, but I said to myself, I said, no, I am going to record this. I am not waiting another week. And so before I had to wait because the sinus infection I had took my voice. And so it was, you could barely understand me. And so, but I decided, nope, I'm going to go ahead and do this thing. And so, but we've been going through three main theories. We're going through three main theories on, well, how they believe that what appears to be fossilized or frozen forest, tropical vegetation. And there's been some fossil animals that's been found there. We're going to talk about that after we get done with this block here. And so there's been some theories thrown up, popular theories thrown up, that my creationist friends, my Bible-believing friends, you guys are going to hear mainly these main three theories. And so that's what I've been going over them. And so some of them are a little bit more detailed than others. Now, the canopy theory, we are going to go back through that again. And so I didn't go through that as in detail as what we will be going through. And so, but we will be going through that because that's one of the theories that you're going to hear. And you're going to get some creationists that are going to believe it and some creationists that are not going to believe it. And so just like with these theories here, you're going to have some folks that's going to hold to one more than the other. And so all of these have some great evidence. And so that could show that, yes, maybe it was this that did happen. But as I've stated before, you have to remember that the world that we see now is not the way the world looked like before the flood. We really don't have no clue what it was like. It's all destroyed. The Bible says it perished. It's gone. And so they had things in the atmosphere that we don't have today. People were much healthier. Things grew bigger, stronger. There may be the humans that were alive from the pre-flood world had abilities that we don't have today, and so we would probably be shocked to know what things they could and could not do. I mean, one thing we know they could do is they could live extremely long ages. A large amount of time. Upwards of 1,000 years, and then after the flood happened, it started diminishing quite drastically. But at any rate, we're going to go through the third. We're going to start going through the third. I'm hoping I can get this done in about 2 videos, no more than 3 though. But hopefully in 2 videos we can get this done. And but we're going to talk about the last theory, popular theory that you're going to hear is that these the trees and the animals that are found at the Antarctic were carried there during currents of the flood. They were actually transported there by flood waters. And so if you'll notice on the screen here, I'm going back to a article that we covered back when I was catapulting ourselves into this. It says a team was surprised to discover, we're talking about Antarctica here, A team was just surprised to discover not just one, but 5 forests piled on top of each other. Now that's key there. You want to remember that, piled on top of each other. They claimed the supposedly 260 million year, this is during the late Permian period, old fossils represent a series of different forests that grew slowly and were buried on top of the other. That's key also. We got to remember that. They grew slowly and were buried on top of the other over millions of years. Now, this is all secular time. I'm telling you here. This has come from a secular article. They also found impressions of long, broad, flat leaves jumbled together in massive mats. These remains have been identified as fossils from an unusual extinct plant called Glossopteris, which is unlike any plant alive today. Now, when we talk about transported vegetation, we're talking about log mats. And so this is the third one we're going to be looking at. The trees were transported at the location in Antarctica, and also you could add the North Pole also. Throw that in there too. The North and South Poles. These trees were transported at the location during the flood. And this right here is a picture of a log mat in Spirit Lake in Washington. This is from 2012. Take a look at this log mat. And this is when Mount St. Helens erupted. And but these trees are still there. And you can, from what I understand, I've never been to this location physically myself. I've never taken a trip to it. But from what I understand, these trees are still there. A lot of trees are still there. And so, but we're going to show you some really unique things about this. Now, whenever you get log mats that are rolling along, eventually you're going to get trees that's going to start sinking. And it's going to start falling most of the time. You're going to see it falling with the root ball. It's called a root ball. It'll fall first. That's the heavier side. It's going to start falling, and it's going to hit the ground. And what's going to happen is it's going to stand up as sediments are laying around it. And it's going to make that tree look like that it actually just grew there in place. And so you'll have, over a period of time, depending on, all different types of factors and stuff like that. But the trees will just all of a sudden will start falling, and then you'll get the sediments laying around it. And then as the layers start to build upon each other, you'll get this effect that looks like you've got many layers of forest. And so, and again, the other sediments that are around it, including the bark off the trees themselves, will start laying around these trees that are going to the bottoms of the lakes or wherever the water is, the flood is. You're going to get these trees going to the bottom, and then all types of sediments are going to be laying around it. And so that's being carried along with the flood waters, be it soils, all types of debris, even off the trees themselves, like the bark. And so, but again, notice what they said. On top of each other, the forest piled on top of each other. Notice the yellow areas. They were buried one on top of the other. Now, is there anywhere in the world that we can see something like that? Oh yeah, you can see something like that. We can back up what I just showed you. Now, this right here is Specimen Ridge in Yellowstone National Park. And so what they have here is they have 27 layers have been claimed, though 50 have been counted. It is reported each layer contains the remains of a mature forest with petrified trees, in many of the layers containing about 1,000 tree rings. No animal fossils have been discovered, at the time of the article that I got here, which was 1995, and that would be mammals, birds, insects, or worms. They haven't seen any type of trace of animal life, but these trees are layered just how I just got done describing. And these trees are petrified. And again, you need water and minerals for that to happen. And so, again, this is a fine example of what I just told you. And so, again, without, I haven't had any pictures of what they found in Antarctica, but again, they're talking about forests piled on top of each other, one growing on top of the other one. And so what I'm picturing is very much, they must be talking about something like this right here. And so that would be the only way that they would say that, yes, it looks like the other one grew on top of the other one, because that's what they're saying here, is that these each layer grew on top of the previous, the older one. And so it says here, researchers have found an amazing diversity of plant species represented in the individual beds, including pollen. Up to 200 species have been identified from a wide range of ecological habitats, seemingly far too wide to have originated in one standing forest. And so there's some more backup into these plants and these trees being transported. Now we're talking about Specimen Ridge here, and this article right here, not Antarctica. Some species are from a semi-arid deserts. Others are from rainforest. Many representatives of temperate climates are present, but so are fruit trees. Significantly, the pollen and leaves present are from species other than the trees that they're around. Now, how can that be? That's weird. That's really weird. Again, we're talking about huge, gigantic, massive log mats that are taking all types of debris from just a jumbled mix of mess, and they've been transporting these things and just dropping them as they go along. It says in many growing trees, the root systems are larger than the tree itself. That's if you just go outside and try to dig up a tree, you're going to find out these roots go way out, and they do. I've had many trees in my own yard cut down, and whenever I get somebody to do what they call root grinding to get rid of the root, man, them roots can go a long ways. But at any rate, it says in the Specimen Ridge trees, however, the roots abruptly terminate at ground level, or in some cases with a root ball. Individual roots have been broken. That's key. That's very key there. We're going to talk about that. The older trees are sequoia, the same species as those which today grow to be thousands of years old and are virtually immune to disease and pest and resistant to fire. They have no bark or branches. So when we're going back to that that root ball that it's talking about, it's as if these trees, guys, that they have found at Specimen Ridge have been ripped out of the ground. They've been ripped out of the ground. They didn't grow where Specimen Ridge is. They didn't grow there, or those roots would have been much larger. It's as if those trees had been ripped up where they did originally come from, and they were transported by log mats, and this right here is where they laid. And so just how we spoke before. And so now what's really interesting is that it said that they have no bark or branches. Now this picture right here of the log mat at Spirit Lake in Washington, notice something about the trees, guys. Do you see anything that really just sticks out? Well, one thing that sticks out, there's no bark on these trees. And what it does is they rub up against each other. As they're floating back and forth, they're rubbing the bark off each other. And where is that bark going to go? It's going to go down in the bottom of the lake. So again, Specimen Ridge here, you can see the log mat evidence, and that these logs, these trees, sunk to the bottom, sediments laid on, sedimentation started, and then new trees started coming up on top of the other ones, and it made it look like you got several forests growing on top of each other. Now, fossil tropical forest found in Arctic Norway. Arctic Norway. So here we go again. In the cliffs, there are many layers. Listen to this, guys, what they're saying. Remember what we just got through going over. In the cliffs, there are many layers of fossil trees. Here we go. One on top of the other. Same thing. Now, guys, this is in the Arctic. Arctic. Tropical forest. And so I very well think that this is the answer to this one here. They were transported. They were transported to this area, and they were laid down just like Specimen Ridge. They didn't grow there. They were laid down there. And so again, same type of flavor. But okay, we're going to stop right there. I got about 16 minutes into this, way longer than I usually like to go, but I don't like to go any longer than 15 minutes if I can help it. 10 to 15 minutes at the most. But guys, there's so much information here. There's just so much, and we're not done yet. Hopefully I can finish up with this theory here on the next video. But for some of you that's just seeing this video for the first time and have not seen any of my other previous videos, you're probably going to get all confused as all get out. All I can say is go back to my very first one on the flood presentation and just start watching from there. And so again, guys, I'm not an expert in this. Many of the things that we're talking about are going to go into all types of areas of expertise and stuff. And so, but I'm going to give you as much information that I can, what I've been able to glean, and give you some areas that you can further your knowledge, because that's the key, guys, when it comes to answering some of these skeptics and some of your friends that have, or coworkers, or just people in general that have questions about the Bible and about creation and about the flood and stuff like that. You can have this type of knowledge at your disposal. And so, again, please feel free to use my material any way you wish that can help you further your knowledge and help you witness to others. And so, but you guys take care. I love you, and I hope the Lord blesses you real good. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.